Hello everyone, today we're going to be going over solving and graphing inequalities in one variable. An inequality is a relation where the values are not equal. So you will not be seeing any equal signs. You will be seeing either a less than, a greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Okay, to solve and graph an inequality, you're going to solve it the way you would a regular equation, meaning you need to first isolate the variable. Get the variable to be all alone on one side. Next, you need to check the order. You should always have variable, then symbol, then number. Third, you'll circle your answer on the number line. Next, you will need to decide if you need an open circle or a closed circle. And then last, you would shade the appropriate side. Okay, so one thing that I didn't put on these notes that you might want to make note of, so I'm going to scoot to the very bottom, is the symbols. So this is less than, and this is greater than. For both of these, when you put it on the number line, you're going to have an open circle. Okay, and then you have the or equal to's. So this is less than or equal to. This one is greater than or equal to. If you ever have any of these two symbols where it has the kind of like an underline underneath, you are going to need a colored in circle. So we call this a closed circle. Okay, and then when it comes to a number line, you could think of these symbols as arrows. So they kind of point the way your number line should go. So less than would point that way, greater than would point that way. Same thing with the or equal to's. Less than or equal to is that way, greater than or equal to is that way. So let's go back to our notes here. So it's pretty simple. It's still the same as solving equations, and we've already done about 2.5 weeks of solving equations, so you guys should be pretty good at that. The only difference is this last thing right here that has the asterisk. Flip the inequality sign if you are dividing or multiplying by a negative number. Okay, so let's do our examples. Example 1, 7x plus 8 is less than 18 minus 3x. So we still have to do don't call me after midnight, meaning our first step would be to distribute, but there's no parentheses, so we don't need that. C for combine like terms, but that also doesn't apply. M for move the variable. So see how there's variables on both sides? I do need to move it to where it's only on one side. I always move the smaller number. So between the 7x here and the negative 3x here, negative 3 is smaller, so let's move that one. And what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. By the way, you still split it at the symbol. So you would still split it, whoops, right here. Okay, so 7 plus 3 gives me my 10x, and I still have plus 8. is less than 18. So now we're done with this step. Now I have a for add and subtract. So that plus 8, I need to move it to the other side by doing the inverse and subtracting. So that gives me 10x is less than 10. And last is multiplying and dividing. We're going to divide by 10 to get the x by itself. Since 10 is a positive number, the symbol is going to stay the same. So we ended up with x is less than 1. On our number line, I'm going to put 1 right in the middle, and then I'm going to fill in the other tick marks. So we are going to circle our answer. So our answer was 1. We're going to circle it. Does it need to be an open or closed circle? Well, because this is not underlined, it's just regular less than, it's going to stay an open circle. Then less than means you shade in the left side. See how it kind of looks like an arrow pointing that direction? So this is the side of your number line that needs to get shaded in. Okay, and that is your solution to that inequality. Let's do one more example. So example number 2. So we're still following these steps. D for distribute. I do have some parentheses, so I'm going to have to multiply. 4 times 5 is 20, minus 4y is less than or equal to negative 6y plus 2. So this is done. Next step is to combine like terms, but that doesn't apply in this case. M for move the variable. So between negative 4 and negative 6, negative 6 is the smaller number. So that's the one we're going to move. So that's plus 6y to both sides. So I'm left with 20. Negative 4 plus 6 is now a positive 2, less than or equal to 2. So we're done with the move the variable. Next step is to add and subtract. So this one's a little tricky. I don't want to move the one that has the letter, so I don't want to move the 2y. I want to move the other thing, the other term. But since there's nothing in front of it, that implies that it's a positive number, so we're going to do the opposite and subtract it from both sides, which gives me 2y is less than or equal to 2 minus 20 is negative 18. So now we're done with the adding and subtracting part. Last step is to multiply and divide. So that 2y, if I wanted to get rid of the 2, I would have to divide by that. Since 2 is a positive number, we're dividing by positive 2. The sign does not need to change, and it could stay as less than or equal to negative 9. That is our answer. But now let's put it on the number line. So I'm going to put negative 9 in the middle, and then fill in the rest of the tick marks. We circle our answer, so we circle the 9. We decide, do we need to color in that circle or not? So because it has the underline here, we do need to color in that circle. And again, this is less than, so it's kind of pointing like an arrow to the side that needs to get colored in. And there you have it. That is how you solve inequalities. The only difference from equations is the symbol. Again, this is very important. Flip the inequality sign if dividing or multiplying by a negative number. So your assignment for today, this goes in your notebook. Your assignment for today looks like this. Yes, there are a lot of problems. There's 16 problems, but I thought because we've been solving equations this whole time, it should be pretty straightforward. So let's just do one as an example. Let's look at, I want to do one that's not so simple. So this will be due the back of the page. Let's look at number 10. So number 10 is what we're doing together. So my steps, distribute, combine, move, add and subtract, multiply and divide. Okay, so for distribute, I don't have any parentheses, so we're going to skip that. C for combined like terms. On the left side of the inequality, I have 3 things that do not have a variable. So all of those are like terms. 13 minus 8 would give me 5, plus 6 is 11. Then the plus 2v is the only thing with a variable, so we're going to put plus 2v. Less than or equal to negative 7 minus v. Then from here, so that's combining like terms. Then from here we want to move the variable to only one side. So out of positive 2 and negative 1, that's the smaller, so we're going to add v to both sides, which gives us 11 plus 3v is less than negative 7. Next step is to add and subtract. So let's subtract 11. That gives me 3v is less than negative 18. Done with that step. And then last step is to multiply or divide. So we're going to divide by 3, which gives us v is greater than negative 6. So we find negative 6 on the number line and circle it. So because this is just regular greater than, we're going to leave that circle an open circle. And then greater than looks like an arrow pointing to the right, so we're going to color in the right side of this number line. Okay, so how about we do one more example, because I'm looking for one where we would have to divide by a negative. Let's look at number 11. So we're doing distribute, combine, move the variable, add and subtract, multiply and divide. That don't call me after midnight. So since there's no parentheses, I don't need to distribute, but I do need to combine like terms. On the left side, both terms have an m, so I can combine both of them. Negative 5 minus 6 gives me negative 11m. Okay, and then on the right side, the second term and the third term are both m, so I can combine those two. The first 8 will stay the same, but the other two can go together. Negative 8 minus 1 gives me negative 9. Okay, then I want to move the variable to where it's only on one side. So right now I have m's on both sides. Let's move this 9m. So since it's minus, we're going to do the opposite and we're going to add. Negative 11 plus 9, it still leaves me with negative 2, is less than or equal to 8. Now to get that m by itself, I would need to divide by negative 2. So this is what I was talking about before. We're dividing by a negative number. See that negative number on the bottom? So whenever you do that, you need to flip the symbol that's in the middle. So this less than or equal to is going to turn into a greater than or equal to. It's flipping over. And then 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. This is our answer. So we find negative 4 on the number line, circle it. Do we need to color it in? Yes, we do, because it's underlined here. So color in that circle. And then it is a greater than or equal to, which means we will be shading the right side. Okay guys, so out of the worksheet with 16 problems, we did 2 of them together, so that leaves you 14 problems to do today. At the end of class, or if you don't finish, you can come after school so I can help you with it. Okay, that's all I have for you today. Talk to you later.